Oh boy, I'm excited to talk about this. You see, Kaiketsu Zorori is a children's book, television show, and film franchise in Japan. And don't feel bad if you've never heard of it before, because as far as I can fucking tell, basically nobody outside of Japan knows about it. Anywho, because it's so niche outside of Japan, I thought that I'd give you all a bit of insight onto this incredible foreign gem. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Also, side note, because it's so obscure outside of Japan, I have like zero access to any of the books without spending a whole bunch of money on it, and also learning Japanese, so I'll be focusing more on the anime. Also, spoilers. You're probably wondering what the fuck a Kaiketsu Zorori is. Well, it roughly translates to Incredible Zorori, and Zorori is a reference to some fucking hero dude with a mask named Zoro, which by the way is Spanish for fox. And oh boy, this show is about a fox anti-hero with a mask. Clever. He also has two sidekicks named ECC and NoCC, which are two criminal boars that just kind of follow him around forever because they can. Jokes aside, the show for Kaiketsu Zorori has to be one of the few shows I watched more than 1 or 2 episodes of. You know, although the show was created for children, it really isn't afraid to touch on really dark subjects. Hell, one of the driving forces in the show is the fact Zorori wants to impress the ghost of his dead mother while his dad is fucking gone doing his own thing. I mean, every episode is based off of at least one of the main 3 goals that Zorori wants to reach for the sake of impressing his mother in heaven. 1, becoming a well-known anti-hero. 2, marrying a beautiful wife. And 3, acquiring a castle in his name. And if you think that ain't dark, well, there's a 4-episode long story about how Zorori dies and goes to hell. Now, what I personally love is that although this show takes on many dark and disturbing topics, it still has a generally cheery vibe throughout the whole show. It feels less like it's completely ignoring heavy issues in the real world and more like it embraces them into its own universe. Okay, so I found Zorori while I was browsing Google in a call with my friends, and my friend Jalvian mentioned that a long time ago he watched this show called Kaiketsu Zorori. One thing led to another, and the next thing I knew, me and my friends ended up watching the entire fan sub on Rabbit together in only a couple weeks. I personally remember having a strong feeling of nostalgia while watching through the series. It really brought on a feeling of childhood wonderment to me. I guess it's because I used to watch a lot of reruns of old mid-2000 anime on television when I was only like 8 years old. And Kaiketsu Zorori brought me back to a lot of those good feelings from when I was a kid. Some of my personal favorite episodes while watching through the series had to be episodes 37 and 38, where to sum it up quickly, Zorori was trying to get away from the police and was forced to stage a kidnapping to escape. He pretended to be the female victim of his own hoax kidnapping, and soon after wins the heart of some cop named Inutaku by accident, which on its own seems like a pretty standard funny type of plotline for a children's show. The usual main character gets into a crazy situation and has to endure stuff they aren't comfortable with for comedic effect kind of thing. But then it all takes a really dark and real turn after Zorori accidentally accepts Inutaku's hand in marriage, when we see Inutaku's parents thanking Zorori for accepting it, all while one of them is bedridden and fucking dying. And then Zorori has to come to terms with his own identity as he falls into a state where he has no way of escaping and starts to believe his own lies about his whole act. It certainly took the whole typically cliched plotline to a very real level. Basically what I'm saying is that it was a fun show to watch with my friends, and Zorori looks hot dressed as a girl. Furries suck, I'm unsubscribing! I can think of several reasons why. Everything from the things I mentioned earlier with it being a kid's show that talks about death and going to hell, dying dads, dead moms. Not to mention by the second episode there was already a black stereotype throwing fireballs and Zorori popping pills. Another thing besides the obvious stuff with different television standards in different countries is the cultural references. As this show constantly mentions Japanese food, folklore, and word gags that just won't make sense to a Western audience. But holy fuck does it do well in Japan. The book series I mentioned earlier has been releasing 2 volumes every year since 1987. Hell, the plot of nearly every episode I saw in Series 1 of the anime was based off the books. Not to mention the merchandise and an entire attraction in a Japanese theme park based off of Zorori. I really like cool foreign stuff like this, and I really think if you're interested in it as well, that you should definitely look up some fan subs of the series, especially if you're looking for an interesting upbeat foreign show to check out in your free time. Anywho, that's all I really got to say on the topic of Kaiketsu Zorori for now. I hope I was able to introduce y'all to something new and cool today. So yeah, I shall see you all next week.